Well, all you high schoolers out there looking to find a way to pay for college, we've got some good news for you. It is financial aid season, and we've got an expert here on the show to talk to you a little bit about what's going on. I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much. My name is Cassie Clark, and I am the Northwest Kentucky Outreach Counselor for Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority, or KEA, as most of us know it. And my job is to assist students in finding money to help them pay for college, and now is the prime time for that. Starting January 1st, the 2015-16 Fafsa became available, and you can go to fafsa.gov and fill out that information to see if you qualify for federal and state aid, and now is the time to do that.
And we were joking a little bit. Now, what is the correct pronunciation, if I can even say the word pronunciation, for this aid? It's not FAFSA, it's...
Right, it is FAFSA.
FAFSA.
Yes, so it is the free application for federal student aid. So the way the acronym goes, it's actually FAFSA. Most people get that a little mixed up, and that's okay, we're forgiving, but it is FAFSA.
I was going to say, because the pronunciation's not as important as what you guys work to do and let kids know. So just kind of talk about a little bit about what this program's all about and how kids can take advantage of it.
Okay, so basically any student who is considering going to college in the fall of 2015, so whether you are a high school senior, if you're an adult looking to return to college, if you are a sophomore or junior in college, every student who wants to go to college next year needs to fill out this form. The reason why right now is such a good time to do it is because the state of Kentucky runs out of money earlier every single year. So last year we were completely out of funds by January 31st. This year we're not saying that we'll have any money after about the 29th or 30th. So students don't have a ton of time to fill it out. And what they want to do, essentially, they go onto the website and indicate how much money they are making. If they live with their parents, they tell us how much money their parents are making per year, how many people live in their home, and what their assets are. So essentially, if you have big bank accounts sitting around, we're going to want to know about those.
Sure.
But after all of the income information goes in, we do a calculation and determine how much money we think that student needs to help them pay for college. Filling out this form and clicking submit basically holds that need-based aid in that student's name, so that if we do run out, that student has already put themselves in line and they're eligible for the money whenever it's time to get that money in the fall.
Where does the money come from?
A couple of different places. So there's federal aid, which comes from the federal government, and you can actually take federal aid anywhere in the United States. So if you're going out of state to college, you can still fill out this form and get money for federal colleges, any college in the United States. And then there's also state money. So the state of Kentucky has something called a CAP grant that is worth about $1,900 per year. If you're eligible for that, you can take that to any Kentucky college. And then the Kentucky tuition grant is for private colleges in the state of Kentucky. And that's a little under $3,000 a year to help you pay for a private college in Kentucky. There are other federal aid programs available to some students. And then this form also helps the colleges consider giving the student more money based on their financial need. So really those are the three main places. Federal government, state government, and the college where the student is attending are the three places where this money is going to come from after they fill out the form.
And then you said, people going to college in fall 2015, a lot of people would think, that's just seniors. But in reality, I mean, would this apply to community colleges as well?
Absolutely. Any college that you're considering going to in the fall. So this money is eligible for community colleges, four-year publics, four-year privates. The only time that you run into eligibility being cut off is a school that may not be accredited, or it may not be eligible for what's called Title IV funds, which are your Pell Grants and your CAP grants.
Let's say OCTC, eligible
Sure.
there?
Absolutely.
So in your hometown, that's always nice to be able
That's
to. Now we have an early college program where kids can start college their junior year of high school. Are those
Sure.
kids eligible as well?
Absolutely. So because they will be starting in 15-16, this 15-16 school year, they'll go ahead and apply now in January rather than waiting.
When it comes to the application process, as somebody who went to college and applied to all those schools and scholarships, because there's a lot out there and you want to take advantage of it. I mean, how hard is applying for this particular?
The form can be kind of complicated, mostly because we ask a lot of questions about income. We want you using your income tax returns to fill it out. And probably the biggest confusion is that you're filling it out in January, and we want you to file it based on your 2014 income tax returns. I don't know about you, I don't fill out my taxes in January. I wait until about February. And so the students don't have that piece of information. So our recommendation is to go ahead and estimate the income coming into your home in 2014. That way you're still holding your place in line for the money. So that's right out of the gate, there's confusion happening because you're going to see on the form information about 2014 income tax returns, and you're not going to have that form available to you. So that's why it's really important to seek out the help and to ask the questions. One of the most common things that I see is that if you were to go to Google and type in the address of the form, which is fafsa.gov, fafsa.gov, the very first website that comes up is fafsaapplication.com, and that will actually charge you money to file it. And so we want to get the word out there that you're supposed to be going to fafsa.gov. It is a free application.
Free is good.
Free always. You're going to be paying for enough once you get to college. Don't pay to file the FAFSA. So very first thing, students run into all of these things coming at them, different websites and questions. And so it can be very confusing, but we do offer lots of help here at the high school and within the community for anyone who needs it.
Talk about some of that help. I mean, is there set up times? You need to go to Miss Prince? What's the easiest way to get this done?
Absolutely. At OHS this school year, for the entire month of January, I will be here on Fridays from 10 to 2. So Friday, January 9th, Friday, January 16th, and Friday, January 23rd. I will be here at the high school in the guidance office with Miss Prince, helping out between the hours of 10 and 2. Every Friday, I set up at the Davis County Public Library from 2 to 4, so parents can come in anytime between, basically here at the high school from 10 to 2 or at the public library from 2 to 4, any Friday in January. Owensboro Community College has some help hours between 9 and 12 on Saturday, January 10th. Henderson Community College, it's a little bit of a drive, but they have help hours on Saturday, January 24th from 10 to 1. So there are all kinds of different times that you can seek help with this. But for Owensboro high school students, the absolute best time is to come to the guidance office on those Fridays that I'm going to be here.
What's the most efficient way to get this done? I mean, you said that you have to have some forms or some documentation of income. Typically, if you're a high school student, you don't have that readily available. I'm sure you'd probably have to get that from your parents.
Right.
Just talk me through the ideal process.
Sure.
Okay, I've got some questions. I'm interested. What do I do?
Okay, so we always want to file online. Back in the golden days, back in the Stone Age when I went to college, we did everything by paper. We don't do that anymore. So we always file online, and in order to file, you do have to have your parents' 2013 income tax returns, because that's what we're going to base the estimate on. And if you as a student worked, you'll want to have your income tax returns too. Some parents feel comfortable sending that information with their student to school, and some parents would rather be there with the student. So if the parent would like to come in and sit with the student and fill it out and get help, we're absolutely welcoming of the parents to come in and do that and bring that information with them. Or if they work and they can't make it during that time, they can feel free to send that information with their student.
And like you said, though, that you offer this at the public library too, so if it's
Absolutely.
after hours of school.
Yes, if a parent works, let's say a parent works until 3:30, they could come into the library and I could help them. And anytime, I'm pretty flexible and I know how important it is to fill out the form. So even if a parent says, well, I work until 6 o'clock every night, they can get in touch with me and I'm happy to set up a time to meet with them and fill it out. And that's even throughout the entire process, because the students are putting their information in right now to estimate. They have to go back in and update that information after their parents have actually filed their income tax return. So I come back to the high school in April and have dates for that setup where I can update the information for them. And then if a student is selected for a process called verification, where they double check all the information the student has put into the form, I can set up times with them to check on that as well and to help them through that. So once a student has my contact information or a parent has my contact information, I'm kind of at their beck and call. I can kind of meet them at any time to help them out throughout the process.
And your contact information, what would
Okay.
that be? We'll pop that up here on the screen.
Awesome. The best way to get in touch with me is to email me at cclark@kheaa.com. And my phone number is 270-316-4644. 4676. I do like to put a little disclaimer that it is my work number, so I do sometimes put it away, sometimes put that phone away, but most of the time I have it on me.
Sure.
And so a parent can text me or call me and leave a voicemail. If you do leave a voicemail, it takes a little bit longer for me to get back to you just because it's tough to sit down and actually listen to my voicemails. But so to text me or to email me is going to be the absolute best way to get in touch with me. And like I said, throughout the entire process. So save that information. If you get selected for verification, you can get back in touch with me and I'm happy to help you through that. Even if you just have a question or you want me to check over the information you've already submitted, I'm happy to do that as well. And next year when your student is a sophomore in college, or excuse me, a freshman in college, I'm happy to help throughout that process as well.
How do the funds work? I mean, is this as a check cut? I mean, I'm sure kids are probably wanting to know,
Sure.
you know, how do I actually get
How
a
do I
hold
get
of this
my money? Right. So you fill out your FAFSA and you're admitted to your college. Then the FAFSA information is sent to your college. At that point, your college creates an award letter for you, spelling out everything that you're eligible for: scholarships, grants, loans, work study, all types of money. If you accept that money, if you decide, yes, I am going, let's say, to the University of Kentucky, and you tell them, I'm coming here and I do need this money to help me pay for it, they will cue that money to be dispersed to you in the fall. Now, that money is going to come in first to that college to pay your tuition, your room and board if you're living on campus, fees, and then anything left over will come to you. These days, they give you a debit card, and they put the money on the debit card for you. So you can buy your books, you can use it for gas money, a laptop. If you have a whole lot of extra money, you can buy the things that you need.
Now let me ask you this, what if you're going out of state?
Great question. So if you're going out of state, it's essentially the same process. The only difference would be that you wouldn't be eligible for the state funds that are offered to you if you're eligible for those based on your finances. Because you're going out of state, those funds you wouldn't be able to access those. Okay. And then same goes for your KEYS money, unfortunately. The KEYS money that your student has earned while in high school, we can't send that out of state unless your student is studying something that we don't offer here in the state of Kentucky. And those programs are pretty few and far between.
Private university versus public university, is there a difference there?
The only difference there, it's going to work the same way. The only difference there is that we do have a grant, a state grant that is reserved for private schools. It's what we call an equalization grant. We know that private schools cost a little bit more, and so we do offer about $3,000 extra for students who want to go to private schools here in Kentucky who do qualify for that money to help them afford that education if that's what they want to do.
Now I know obviously, you know, it's a huge help, but does that normally cover all of your cost, or should you apply for other things too?
You should always apply for scholarships and other grants and aid through your college, and then private scholarships through other agencies. The state and the federal money, the KEYS money, that's all really great money, but we know college is very expensive. Like we were talking about the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville alone, if you're going to go to those, tuition, room, board, and fees is sitting at about $19,000 a year right now. And so even if you had a Pell Grant and a CAP grant in your KEYS money, that's still not going to cover $19,000 worth of cost. And so we always recommend to continue to apply for scholarships. There are all kinds of great websites out there. Fastweb.com is a great website, and capex.com, both really great websites to apply for scholarships. And your high school guidance counselors, Ms. Prince, is wonderful about dispersing information about local scholarships. There are a wealth of local scholarships here in Davis County that students can apply for.
Let's say I'm a student and I just feel like I don't have the money to go to school.
Sure.
Because obviously, you know, it is $19,000 a year. It is no chump change for sure. I mean, what advice would you have for a student like that? You know, I have the grades. You know, I've got some of the scores. I don't quite have the scores to maybe, you know, get huge academic scholarships,
Sure.
but you know, what's your advice to them?
My advice to that student would be, first of all, that there are all types of scholarships out there. So I run into a lot of students who say, well, my grades and my test scores really aren't high enough to qualify for academic scholarships. And not everything is an academic scholarship. There are scholarships for leadership. There are scholarships for being very involved. Of course, athletic scholarships. So there are lots of different avenues. Always apply for the FAFSA, even if you think your family may not qualify because you make too much money. Still go ahead and apply, because a lot of times parents are pleasantly surprised, especially if they have more than one student in college at once. That can really help them out. And then the last thing, and probably one of my biggest pieces of advice is don't underestimate the community college. We have a wonderful community college system here in the state of Kentucky, and that it is a very expensive, it is the most inexpensive way to go to college, is to start out at the 2-year community college and then transfer on after you get your associates. It is a fraction of the cost, and it is still a wonderful education.
And conveniently enough, I believe we have some pretty easy programs from you literally go across the street.
Absolutely. If you're interested in WKUO at Western, you can start out at OCTC, get your first 2 years, get your associate's degree, and then transfer seamlessly right into Western here in Owensboro. And just like you said, walk right across the street, and there you are.
You know, a big concept that, of course, we're pushing to at the Owensboro Public Schools is being, you know, college ready, you know, going to college. You know, it is important. You know, we just want people to be either college and or career ready is kind of what our motto is. Why is college so important these days? I mean, it seems like just to get a basic job, people are requiring, you know, just bachelor degrees. I mean, it's changing.
Absolutely. It definitely is changing. And one thing that we see is that we are part of now a global economy. We are part of a global world. And so students who are coming out of high school, while we have great public high schools, they're still not equipped for the changing industries that we have today. Being connected, knowing how to speak effectively, knowing how to write effectively. And those are the skills that employers are really looking for. And so when a student comes out of high school, they really do want to consider furthering their education, at least even with an associate's degree or some type of certificate whenever they leave high school. That way they are employable. Another thing that you don't want to discount is skilled trades. I know that I pay my mechanic a lot of money. I pay my plumber a lot of money, my hairdresser. These are all skilled trades that students should not, that they do absolutely need to consider. We need those types of trades in the world, and those are wonderful educations, 2-year programs that the students are going to come out and be making a significant amount of money fresh out of college.
That's a good point you make. You know, to be an electrician, you don't just get to be an electrician out of high school.
Not.
I mean, you have to go, a lot of people don't understand that. You know, you have to go to school for those things too. And how can you help pay for that?
With your Fafsa and with your Keys money that you are earning right now while you're in high school.
Well, Cassie, is there anything else? I'll ask, of course, for your contact information one more time, and we'll put that here on the screen right now. You know, what else what's the other secrets, I guess you could say, to get ready for school and be able to pay for it?
Sure. The secrets are don't wait, first of all. A lot of students will tell me, oh, that's okay. I'm really far off. To a high school senior, thinking about August seems like a lifetime away, but it will go very quickly, and it's so good to go ahead and get started and get everything you need in order. The other piece of information is to ask for help. It really breaks my heart when I hear students say, well, I didn't do any of these things because I didn't know, or, well, I had questions about that, but I didn't know who to ask. Ask anybody. Ask your parents, ask your teachers, because they know at least who to point you in the direction to. Ask the questions, even if you think it's a silly question, still ask, because there is the help out there for you, and now is the time to get that help and to take that action.
A couple of our students, well, when I say a couple, I mean probably all of our students and just students around the country, social media is big. Do you all have social media? Do you all do the Twitter and the Facebook type deal?
We do. Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority has a Twitter page and a Facebook. We also have lots of promotions where if you like our page in a certain quarter, we will do a drawing for an iPad, and we will choose a name and we will award someone with an iPad just for liking us on Facebook. So that's a pretty easy way to get a cool toy.
Absolutely.
So if you go to KHEAA on Facebook and Twitter, you can follow us. And we are working on getting individual counselor pages for Facebook and Twitter, so that as I have dates coming up where I'm going to be seeing students for FAFSA, I can tweet that out or put that on a Facebook page. It hasn't been approved yet, so we're not going to get excited about it yet. But we're working toward that to be more connected with the students where they are.
And again, one more time, if people want to get a hold of you,
the best way is to email me at cclark@kheaa.com, or to call or text me at 270-316-4676.
Well, Cassie, I appreciate you coming on and giving us some more information. Obviously, a lot of questions this time of year.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for having me. I love to talk about the FAFSA, and I love to help students. So any parent or student who needs any help, don't hesitate to get in touch with me at all.
Well, there you go. Again, if you have questions, you can either talk to Cassie. Of course, we've got a pretty a gem, as I like to call her, here at Owensboro High School with Jane Prince.
Absolutely, she's wonderful.
She knows a lot about that stuff. So take advantage of it. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. You know, there are answers, I'm sure, for every question, and it's okay if you don't know. For Cassie Clark, I'm Dave Kirk. Thanks for watching.